Hello, this is my first attempt at a jungle tutorial for DLTK, the max stats mode of GoldenEye. There isn't currently a tutorial, so I thought I'd give it a go and walk through my run and explain some of the key concepts. I think jungle is a not particularly difficult level, albeit quite daunting when you get started. So we start my run. Now, first thing you want to do is chuck a mine into the distance and then shoot the running guard. Shoot him many times, let the auto aim do a lot of the work, and what you're going to do is you're going to be luring two guards from further into the level, and there's a guard off to the left hand side, so you'll be eliminating four guards fairly straightforward. The next law is just using that small tree, and then you just back away to behind the bigger tree and you can see them coming, and generally this will be getting rid of three guards. The initial shots that you do there, you want to make sure that they're hitting the first guard, and the auto aim will largely do that for you. Next bit, and the important bit here is the movement. So you kind of move to this tree and then to this tree, and the aim here is there are three guards in the next section, and you want them to be all running to your left hand side of the tree rather than sort of flanking you down the right. Shooting this guard will lure out another guard, and as you can see I kind of was a bit lazy on him, and luckily the invisible wall created by the tree helped me out a great deal. It's one of the things that makes jungle a lot easier, is that these trees give you quite a lot of protection, and whilst you don't necessarily see a lot of the guards in the distance, you've got quite a lot of cover. I'm shooting in the distance here to lure, because I know there's another guard here who sometimes gets lured out but doesn't necessarily. And yes, he's coming running now. What I'm kind of wanting to do here is I'm trying to preserve my ammo as much as possible and letting Nat do the work. Now, sometimes the guards will run and target Nat specifically rather than you. I'm not sure what the rules are behind that, but nevertheless it can happen. So that's another thing that gives you a little bit more protection on this level than you might expect. Nat's Magnum is a pretty powerful gun too. She's also quite useful in that she can kind of show you where the guards are as well, because she can often spot them before you can. This next law, very important. Do it just in front of the tree, because that's going to help you later. And just blast loads of shots when your auto aim picks out that guy. And if you retreat along the wall, there is a point here where you can see through the gap. So where that explosion is, you can obviously see it through the shrubbery. And that's actually quite useful for timing it, but a lot of the timings are fairly consistent. They tend to run there and stick around. Now, there may be a guard who doesn't get lured on the left. In fact, you can see my auto aim picks him up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hide behind the tree and sort of wait for him to come. And there he is, down the left. Nice lot of helmet shots there. But obviously Nat helping me out again. So what I'm going to do from here is all the guards will have been eliminated here. You'd be pretty unlucky if some of them didn't get lured. But I'm going to run down the right hand side and get ready for another mine throw to get rid of most, all but one, of the guards in the next section. So I'm just going to blast this guy, because what I want to do is roughly get the timings of the guards arriving at a similar time. So I've hit one in the back, and then I've mismoved, and I've done it on timing rather than anything else, and obviously one of the guards hasn't got killed. But by retreating to the right, I'm not going to get flanked down the right hand side of that tree. I'm going to at least see the guard, and hopefully there's not two of them. So here I have failed to eliminate one of the guards, so I'm just going to be a bit careful about my movement and use the trees as coverage. So I'm going to get rid of the drone gun. I'm going to move out, and I'm going to move to the nearest tree. Then I'm going to peek left, and yep, he's running. I'm going to make a meal of that, and bosh. Now, Xenia. obviously a very difficult enemy, a lot of health on DLTK, and to combat that I am going to run away. I don't know who came up with this strat, but it is truly, truly excellent. The alternative for speedrunning is just running around a tree and hitting her in the head as much as possible, which looks truly horrific and I've never tried doing it. So what I'm doing, just running back, is I'm trying to sweep for some, like, any ammo I might have missed, because having ammo at the end of the level is going to be quite useful. You can run a little bit low. It's not usually a problem, but, you know, the more the merrier. So what we do, all the way back to the start of the level. I'm just jogging at the moment, you know, there's no particular rush, then is not likely to catch you up. And I'm going to duck under the wing of the plane, and then just park by this tree. And essentially, you just stay here for about 5 minutes while Xenia catches up, Natalia catches up, Natalia shoots her, and Xenia can't get to you because of the odd geometry of the level. Fun bit on this strategy is obviously the Xenia music has started up, and you sit here so long that even the music gets bored. Okay, so let's rejoin the action with Xenia almost dead. There she goes. And what you want to do is quickly pick up the RCP-90 and the grenade launcher, because they are going to be incredibly useful later on. And then just run past the bridge all the way through the level. There's some slight tedious running back and forth in the name of doing safe strategies here, but you know, it's definitely worth it in the long run if you want to get that completion. One thing to make sure you do, from bitter experience, is make sure that you shoot the drone gun just by Xenia, or where Xenia was. Also helps if you know where you're going through the level, which I often struggle with. Yeah, getting that drone gun by Xenia can be forgotten about, so yeah, just make sure you do it, because you don't want to get all the way through and realise you haven't done it. And what you're going to do here is you're going to deal with 3 guards in the first caverns, and what you do is you let the auto aim pick up one guard, shoot him. That's going to lure out the 2 that are on the right hand side, and you get both of them with a single grenade, and the guard you shot to start that lure will run later on, but again you're hiding behind trees and it's pretty safe. And now you've got the RCP-90, I mean, with the RCP-90, guard really are fairly trivial. It shoots, it's powerful, it shoots so quickly that it does make the level a lot easier from here on in. And really it's only the end bit that can be particularly challenging, and even that is possible to practice out. This guard you need to be a little bit careful on beforehand, because if you move too far left he might see you and sort of snipe you from a way off, and you don't really want to be losing any health before you get to the end section, because you want that little bit of contingency for when you get there. What I'm going to do here, there are 2 guards here, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to run up, let the one on the left see me, and then run back to this hiding space. Now, I've done this relatively quickly. If you do it a bit slower, Nat will join you at this point, and actually she starts shooting those guards from the open, so actually you don't necessarily need to do a lot of the work if you're a bit slower. There's loads of protection here, so you know, you can run out and run away, and it's pretty safe. You're not likely to be sniped unless you're going particularly deep into their vision. We'll get rid of these two guards. Yeah, it's fairly trivial. And then what we're going to do is we're going to deal with the guards here, and we want to be a little bit quiet and careful not to lure too many, but I'm going to alert that guard and then poke out on this guy, because he often pulls a grenade, and I kind of want him to throw a grenade and blow up both himself and the guard who gets lured. It's not a, you know, bulletproof strategy, and you can just run back to the previous spot we were eliminating the previous guards from, but generally, yeah, you know, in this case, both of them have perished. If they hadn't, I would have probably seen them in that gap. So these walls have a lot of invisible. There are a lot of invisible walls here. Let's just say, and you get a feel for what's safe and what isn't. Here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to eliminate the guard from the top, as well as the ammo dump and the final drone guns. So generally, I'll just snipe slowly here so I don't get surprised by the guard. And then what I'll do is you can peek out on this guard. I wonder what approach I went for. Yeah, honestly, you could probably just snipe him from there rather than let him run through, but I just let him run and probably took a bit more risk than was strictly necessary in eliminating him, using a bit more ammo than was strictly necessary as well. But let's get the ammo dump done. Do it with bullets rather than explosives, because the explosives can be much more useful. Now, obviously, being really useful running into that, she can sustain a lot of explosion damage in this level, so it's very, very difficult for her to get killed. So you don't need to worry too much. She can just stand in explosions multiple times and be fine. These three guards at the crates, again, I mean, you can poke out on them quite a lot because the invisible walls, they have body armor, so take a few shots. If you do it in a slightly different order and Nat is down with you, you can get her to do a lot of the work as well. So I lured a guard there by making a little bit too much noise, but again, you will see him coming from a way off, and you can just deal with it. There's no need to panic in that scenario at all. I think this section of the level, with a lot of the guards, it looks a lot more intimidating than it is. It's very rare that you would die, and it's actually quite rare that you really sustain any damage, as long as you do things sort of relatively, you don't go too gung-ho, basically. So a lot of this level is quite academic. You know, once you get to halfway, killing Xenia's trivial. Eliminating a lot of the guards takes time more than risk, really. And really what you're doing is you're just kind of wanting to get to the end game, because it's really the end that can cause the most problems, and that is the bit I would really recommend practicing the most. Just get yourself to that point and just get comfortable with the movements and what you need to do at the end, but we'll talk through that as we get there. So basically, eliminated all the guards that sort of stand around before the final section, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to edge out and you're going to abuse the geometry of the game by guards cannot. You can see all the guards pretty much on the right hand side and one on the left, and they're not going to see you. Hit that one guard and it will send two guards running. Ideally, get both of them by blowing up boxes, because it's just going to save you some ammo and it's just a cleaner kill. Often, if you do miss, they'll run at you, and as soon as they see you, they'll pull a grenade or something like that. Something not particularly worrying. So what I'm going to do here is there are three guards behind silver crates, and I just want to take off their body armour. And you can tell you've taken off their body armour when you hear the famous groan. The reason we're taking off the body armour is because later on, we don't want to kill them, because if we kill them, it will just spawn and they'll be replaced with other body armoured guards. And what we want to do is blow them up with single explosions later, and if they've got body armour, they won't blow up in these explosions. So this can be a little bit time consuming. Obviously it's a fairly swampy level, you can't really see what's going on. Yeah, try not to use all your bullets doing it, but generally it's not too difficult. I'm doing a pretty bad job here. I'm missing a lot because I actually can't see the one on the right. I know roughly where he's meant to be, but not exactly. They also duck a bit as well. They've got helmets. They duck. You know, you're not always going to see them as clearly as you might like. There's a groan. Nice. So I don't think I've quite got the angle right here, because I kind of want to be able to snipe one of the ones on the left, but I don't think I can see him, and I don't think I've got the angle. I should be slightly further left, but I probably don't quite trust those invisible walls as much as I might, because I can see there's going to be a big one created off to the left. Having a look. So basically this is a very important bit, and it's kind of seems perhaps slightly pointless. What you want to do is run back into the level because you want to get Nat out of the way. Because what you want to do after this is run up into that middle section and then do the same process, but on the left-hand side guards, get rid of all their body armour, and then lay some explosives and sort of set up your end game. The problem is if Nat's there, what can sometimes happen is she will start shooting the guards and kill some of them, and what happens then is guards respawn, replace them, and will not blow up in your explosions because they've still got body armour, and that is kind of pretty terminal for the run because you're just not going to have the opportunity to deal with them. So you've got options here, like the safest way of doing it is running all the way back to the start of the level, back to the plane, and then just waiting for Nat to get there, and then just running on. That will give you as much time as possible to set up the end game. On this run, I kind of lazily did it. I wanted to get a relatively quick time. So I took a few chances. I sort of backed myself. You can see Nat there. You can bring her way back further into the level than that if you want to give yourself more time. But I backed myself to be able to do it relatively quickly. It's a decision that cost me on many occasions, but generally getting through to this point in the level isn't that difficult. So it's not a massive time drain. So belt it across into this middle section. You're protected by the invisible walls. Now you can't move mega far left, mega far right, but got quite a lot of latitude. So here you go. I'm just going to repeat the process on these 3 guards, and it can get a little bit tedious. In fact, on this run, I actually probably didn't bring that far enough back because I could, by the end of it, she's getting involved, and it made me rush a little bit more than I would have liked. But luckily, no harm done. I did manage to get the finish in. Here's one point: is I've obviously I'm running out AR ammo, so I'm using the RCP-90, which isn't ideal because these shots are a bit long, but it's not majorly problematic. And ideally you want a lot of RCP-90 ammo left for the end section, because in the final tunnel guards can spawn and run out, and if you get a lot of them you can have problems. So what we're going to do is chuck just 2 remote mines that are left over, just chuck them into the middle, in sort of like in the middle of the section, 3 guard sections, and then just grenade launch to the right, that'll blow up the 3, grenade launch to the left, that'll blow up the other 3, and then run, keeping the tunnel in view as quickly as you can, get there. The quicker you get there, the fewer guards will spawn. I've never got no guards to spawn, but 1 is eminently manageable. Even if you get about 3, I think my first completion had about 3, with the RCP-90 it just cuts through them, so you just stand your ground and just bang away. But you do need to keep the tunnel inside. There is a final guard on the final crate who has body armour and he's incredibly lethal. Do not run out on him. Let Nat do the work. Now, if you brought Nat all the way back to the start of the level, you might have to wait a while for her to turn up, but she will do the work. Once the body armour's gone, you can always lob a grenade if you happen to have one. It's quite rare that I didn't have a grenade on this run. But ultimately, Nat's done the work and you run and you have your jungle completion. So anyway, I hope that was useful. I mean, a lot of it becomes fairly trivial once you actually practice the level and you see how it works. But I thought, here's a voiced over tutorial to fill a gap in the market. Have fun.